Welcome everybody to the Giver Method channel. My name is Jake and I'm so glad you're able to join me. Now, today we're going to be talking about how you can heal, or work through that relationship you have with the work that you're currently doing. How you can go from burnout in what you're currently doing to belonging and really taking ownership of it. And you may have experienced this before, that deep, bone tired exhaustion that comes not from working too much, but from working against who you really are. And this could look like a couple different ways. Maybe you're a parent who, drives home every evening and you feel completely drained, wondering how you're supposed to have energy left for the people who matter the most to you. You're providing for your family, but you're starting to worry that your kids see you as someone who just endures work rather than someone who finds meaning in it. Or maybe you're an entrepreneur who built a business to create yourself, maybe some freedom, only to realize that you just created another kind of prison. Passion that once fueled those late nights and early mornings has been replaced by the grinding obligation to keep the machine running. Or maybe, you've just been sitting in meetings, watching the clock, feeling like your unique gifts are just being completely wasted in a system that values compliance over creativity. You've got something really valuable to offer, but it feels like you're slowly just disappearing into your role. Now, if any of those sound familiar, then that's what we're going to be covering today. And this might, just change everything for you, because here's what I've discovered after years of helping people transform their relationships with their work. Burnout, isn't usually about isn't because you're working too much. It's about working as someone that you're not. And so I want to dive deep into that today and unpack it with some different, tactics that you can go do. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book. It's called The Giver Method. Came out in November. Since it came out, it's an Amazon bestseller. It has sold thousands of copies. It's got tons of 5-star reviews on it. And what's great is people are taking it. It's the best $10 you could invest. I'll put a link in the description where you can go get it. But people are getting it, and they're discovering the ways that they can take their gifts and really develop them more into being superpowers and use them in every aspect of their life, at home, at work, in their business, and really find more joy and fulfillment without reinventing everything about themselves, without changing everything about themselves, and so I highly recommend you grab yourself a copy. Once again, it's the best $10 you can invest yourself, and it's going to walk you through all sorts of great exercises on how to uncover these types of things, deliver more value to the people in your life, create more influence and impact, have better relationships, live a more fulfilled life. The list goes on and on. So like I said, put the link in the description so you can go get access to it. Now, I spent years in that corporate cubicle world, feeling that I was slowly fading away, going through the motions, and while my real gifts that I had just gathered dust. And what I learned first in my own life and then through working with so many people is that the path back to work fulfillment isn't about finding the perfect job. It's about finding your authentic self and applying it to the work that you're already doing. So today I want to walk you through these 6 strategies that are going to help you to, build on and own and heal that relationship with the work you're doing, not by changing everything overnight, but by making intentional choices that align with who you really are. These are these are not any sort of these aren't just theoretical concepts. They're going to be rooted in rooted in tools that busy parents and overwhelmed entrepreneurs and stuck employees have used to transform their daily experience with work. Now, everything I covered today, like I said, it's grounded in the Giver Method. So I highly recommend you go get it. It's going to be on Amazon. At the same time, I'll put down in the description links where you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Go follow us, find us, all those places. We'd love to connect in all the ways that we can. At the same time, if you have a platform, a podcast, a community that needs to hear this message, then there's going to be a link in the description where we can connect and talk about some speaking opportunities and how I can bring more value to your community as well. Now, if you're new here, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. I don't want you to miss out on any of the details that I put out. I record videos all week long, and I like to put them out and get you as much value as possible. So I don't want you to miss out on any of that. So hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, of course, and all that. So, but for now, let's dive in and let's talk about how you can stop just surviving your work life and start actually thriving in it, because the person you're meant to be at work is still there. We just need to give them the permission to show up in the right way. So let's dive into the principles. The first one is this authentic energy audit. We want to decode your work DNA, find your fuel. And so this is really about how you spot, work that charges you and not just not that you're just good at, okay? And so this is something that nobody teaches us in school, but it's one of the biggest reasons people feel stuck and really drained in the work that they're doing. Your energy day to day as you move throughout the day has a pattern. And if you don't know what fuels it versus what drains you, then you keep trying to fix the wrong thing. You know, have you ever finished the workday and you just think like, why am I so wiped out? Like today wasn't even that busy. You know, it's not about how much you did, it's about the kind of work you did. Sometimes you're spending your day like on the things that are you're technically really good at, but they like the exact opposite of how you're wired. You know, and that quiet exhaustion that you feel, it's the cost of misalignment. It's not, you know, it's not it's not being out of whack, it's not being lazy, it's not lack of hustle, it's just a misalignment. You know, and there's a bunch of different research out there that supports this. Like people who use their natural strengths at work are way more engaged in and way more satisfied in life, you know, but you don't need the stats to know that it's true, because if you felt it, that spark when you're in the zone, that steady buzz when something just clicks, like that feeling, like that's what we're chasing here, okay? So here's how you're going to use this. Here's how you're going to do this. You keep track of energy, you know, and once again, I want you to think about this. It's going to take less than a minute. For the next few days, I want you to just become this energy detective. And the end of your workday, take 30 seconds and just literally all you're going to do is answer 2 questions. What gave me energy today? What drained my energy today? And that's it. And don't overthink it. Just real-time feedback from your body and your mind. Maybe you notice brainstorming with your team leaves you really fired up, but like 3 back-to-back, you know, status meetings, like you're ready to crawl under your desk and fall asleep. You know, or you realize that you love mentoring someone, but you hate being buried in spreadsheets, like even if you're really good at it. Just watch for the subtle drains too. You know, the stuff that doesn't seem hard, but it still leaves you empty. That's often, you know, where we're forcing ourselves to operate outside of what our strengths are, not in a way that stretches us, but in a way that slowly wears you down. You know, at the end of the week, review patterns, like what kind of work charged your battery? What types quietly, you know, were stealing that spark away from you? You know, that's where your like this work fuel blueprint will come into play, like where you look at your wiring and what actually works, and knowing what it is, like that's going to be all the power you need. You can start making small tweaks, even in a job that doesn't feel ideal, to do more of what fills you up and less of what burns you. And we'll talk more about some other ways of recalibrating and using your gifts, you know, in what you're already doing so that you can keep that ball moving forward. All right. So this matters. Like your energy is the truth. Like this step, it's not about figuring out what job you should do or have someday, right? It's about learning how you show up better and more fully right now. We're going to talk a lot about that. It's not about reinventing yourself or finding the new job. Maybe that is the thing you need, but more often than not, that's not. Your energy, it's not going to lie. It's always telling you the truth about what's working and what's not. And when you start making your work decisions based on what energizes you, not what you think you're supposed to do, that's when everything will start to shift from this burnout to more of a belonging. And so as we lead into these other principles, like keep your mind on that. The second one, of course, is going to be like this value recalibration. You know, live what actually matters to you. Bring your values back to work. Really about closing the gap between what you care about and how you show up. You know, something like, I don't know, let's talk about the silent drain most people don't even realize is happening at work. And it's that gap between what you say matters to you and how you actually spend your time. It's not that you're fake or that you're doing anything wrong. It's just the way your work is structured. You know, it's easy to slowly drift away from our core values without even noticing. And you might say things like, well, my family's everything, or, you know, I really care about growth and creativity and service. But if someone followed you around for a week, would they be able to guess that those are the values that you have, or based off the way that you work? Like, if not, that disconnect can leave you feeling off, even when everything looks completely like fine from the outside. You've got that nagging sense that something's missing, and it's usually just misalignment. It's not a failure of any kind. So this step is about bringing what actually matters back to work, back into the work you're doing. Not waiting for the perfect job, not burning it all down, but finding small, real ways to close that gap between what you care about and how you show up every day. So let's talk about how you reconnect with what you stand for. Start by writing down what are your top 3 work values, and don't overthink it. Like, just ask yourself, like, when I'm at my best, what's driving me? Maybe it's creativity, maybe it's impact, maybe stability, like autonomy, growth, connection, whatever feels true to you. And then take a look at your day-to-day. Where do those values actually show up? Where maybe they missing in action, or worse, like getting stomped on completely? And be as specific as possible. Maybe you stay connected, like you say connection matters to you. You know, but you're eating lunch alone at your desk every single day with headphones on where no one can interact with you. Maybe you value creativity, but your day is filled with just checkboxes and reports. Like, the good news is you don't have to overhaul your career to fix this. You just need to have these like value re-entry points, right? Like, they're going to be simple, doable ways to bring your values into your current workday. If you care about connection, try starting a team meeting by asking everyone a personal question. If you value learning, then block off, 10 minutes through the day where you can read something that stretches you. If you care about service, reframe the to-do list through the lens of like who's benefiting from what you're doing. Like, each week you do like this quick gut check and ask yourself like, where did I live my values from this week? Where can I bring them more next week? Be intentional each day. Look at your calendar and say, well, where could I fit this in? I've got this meeting coming up. I'm going to be doing that when I get home. Like, just find the ways that it fits in. That sort of a reflection keeps you from drifting. It brings the intention back to your work, and without needing to like your boss's permission to do this or to have some sort of brand new title or a brand new career to do it. You could do it right where you're at right now. Just find the little ways to start peppering it back into your day. When you start living your values instead of just naming them, everything will start to feel more solid and more grounded and more you. When your inner truth and your outer actions, like how you feel and how you actually show up, are in line, my gosh, I call that sanity, because let's be real, misalignment eats away at all the energy you have. You can't thrive when you're constantly doing things that are, contradict who you actually are. But when you show up in ways that honor what actually matters to you, you feel lighter and stronger, more creative and more present, like more like yourself, really. And that ripple doesn't just change your workday, it changes the energy at home and your relationships, your sense of purpose, and it's all because you stopped waiting for permission and you just started showing up on your own terms. Now, our third one is all about like your strength task integration and creating some sort of a method around that, how you turn your natural gifts into your daily fuel. Like, if you can find the ways to bring your gifts to work on purpose, and use those strengths to fuel your day instead of just trying to survive the day. Because let me tell you something that most of us forget in the hustle and bustle of doing things, like those natural gifts, the ones that feel so easy, like, you barely notice them. They're often the things that your work is missing the most. But instead of leading with those gifts, most of us are stuck trying to fit like some job description someone else wrote. And we wonder why we feel off, why we go home tired even when we didn't work that much, why the day felt like a blur of boxes checked and none of it felt like us. This idea is about flipping that over, and it's not about changing your job title. It's just about showing up, to the same work you're already doing with a different lens, one that centers on your actual strengths. And when you lead with your natural, like what you're just naturally good at, you start bringing you back to work, and that starts to change everything. And so let's talk about how you do that, like how you let your strengths lead, like one task at a time. So this is where I say start here. What are two things that come easy to you that just seem to trip other people up, and think really simple. Are you the one that always makes things less complicated? Are you the one who sees what other people are missing? Are you the one who can calm the chaos, encourage a team member, or break a problem down into really something doable, right? Like, whatever it is. Now grab your calendar or just, think through your day. Where could you sneak in some strength, one of your strengths? Not by overhauling, the whole role, but by tweaking how you show up to what you're already on your plate. So maybe you're a teacher at heart, but your job doesn't include like training anyone. Well, you could still take 5 minutes to explain something more clearly in a meeting, or help a teammate see the big picture. If you're a connector, but you're stuck in that like a solo role, like some sort of a solo role, like what if you initiated a meaningful conversation each day to bring that gift to life? Like, here's a daily question that you can use to unlock this for yourself. Like, where can I use one of my gifts today, even if it was for 3 to 5 minutes? And like, that's it. Like, you ask it and you act upon it, and you just start keeping track of how it felt. Like, what moments felt better? Which ones brought you energy versus draining you? Which parts of your day did you feel more like you again? And once again, we're not about putting on a performance. It's just about that presence. And once you start seeing, where your gifts can land, it becomes one of the most addictive things you can do, and one of the best ways that you can live. When your strengths, like, you use them on purpose, it's weird. You're not just checking off tasks anymore. Yeah, you still have that task list. Like, I'm not saying you're getting rid of work you're doing. You're just bringing those gifts to it. You're contributing. You're creating value that is feels natural and easy and even fun. And the people around you, they're going to start to notice, and they respond differently, because that's how momentum is built. Like, there's a ton of research that backs this up, that people who use their strengths daily, like I said, they're more engaged, they're less likely to burn out. But beyond just the data, like what I've seen over and over is when people stop hiding their gifts and start integrating them into their everyday workday, their energy changes, their confidence grows, and like suddenly they stop feeling like a role that they're playing, and they start feeling like themselves again. You don't need a promotion or a career pivot or a full-blown life reinvention to have it feel better at work. You just need to start bringing your actual self to your work. It starts by letting your strengths have a seat at the table, one task at a time. Now, we're about halfway through the video. We're about halfway through our ideas and strategies. I'd love to know any of your takeaways. Feel free to leave a comment saying, hey, here's what I've taken away so far. Here's an aha. I like this thing, or I'm going to go try that, whatever that may look like. Okay? So the fourth one that I want to dive into is like the meaning-making bridge is what I've called it before. Like, how you connect your daily tasks to what actually matters. Like that connection, like, to what you do and why it matters. Like, find that thread. There's a thread there somewhere. One of the quietest, most soul-draining parts of work, like misalignment, it's going to be this. It's when stuff you do every day feels totally disconnected from anything that actually matters to you. You're checking the boxes, answering the emails, showing up to the meetings, but something in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, wow, what's the point of any of this? That creeping sense of like meaninglessness doesn't like just make work boring. It actually chips away at your sense of value. Like, you stop feeling like you are making a difference. You start pulling back. You're doing just enough to get by. Like, I don't know if you felt that. I've been there before. And then you start to wonder why you're feeling like more and more numb every week. Like, the truth is, most people don't need a dream job to feel fulfilled. What they actually need is just clear connection between what they do and why it matters. That's what like this idea is all about, learning how to find the thread between the tasks that you're already going to be doing and your deeper values, and making that thread as strong enough to pull you forward even on the hardest days. So like, how do we make it more visible and not imaginary? So start by asking yourself like simple but powerful question, like, what kind of impact actually matters to me? Not what sounds impressive, not what someone else might say, but like just the real honest kind of impact that lights you up. Maybe it's helping people feel seen. Maybe it's solving tough problems, or building something that lasts, or making someone's day a little easier. Whatever it is, write it down. That's your personal impact motivation. And then you look at your current work through that lens. If you bring clarity, like, how does your organization or communication style support your team? If you love helping people, how does your role, no matter how behind the scenes it may be, make somebody else's day smoother? You find the connections and those threads. Like, if that connection isn't obvious, don't give up. Go deeper. Talk to people who benefit from your work, teammates or customers or clients, even the folks who use the product or service, that your work touches. Ask them, like, how does this help you? And you'll start to see this invisible impact come to life. Then put those into simple sentences. Like, you can write out some different purpose statements about your current role. So it could be something like, I help people move forward by, creating clarity in the chaos, or I make work smoother for my team so that they can shine. Like, once again, it's not about being fluffy in any sort of way. It's just to anchor your days in something that feels, when your day feels heavy and thankless, like it helps anchor you down more. And you keep that purpose statement somewhere visible and on the tough days, because there's going to be plenty of tough days. I mean, I love what I do, and there's still days that I'm like, it's just grinding away, and I have to kind of do some check-ins with myself. Keep it visible. Like, those tough days, like, come back to it. Let it reframe your approach, the stuff that you're doing that you normally maybe rush through or resent, and shift the intention. It often unlocks so much more energy than like a vacation could. Like I said, there's all sorts of studies and research out there again and again that if people believe in their work matters, they're just more satisfied, more resilient, and more motivated. But more importantly, they're more themselves. You don't have to wait for this new role or a grand mission to feel purposeful. You just have to start looking for how your current role already contributes to something bigger. And once you find that thread, you stop feeling like a cog in the machine. You start showing up like someone whose work actually carries weight, because it does, and so do you. Our fifth one, of course, that I want to talk about is this, like, there's an authenticity protection plan. Like, stop shrinking to fit in. Be who you are even at work. Don't just try to fit the mold. It's something subtle that might silently wear you out, in all honesty. And all the energy that you spend trying to be the version of yourself that you think others want you to be at work. Maybe you learn to hold back your enthusiasm because the culture around you praises being serious. Maybe you've stopped sharing your creative ideas because the people around you want you to just stick with the way that things have always been done. Over time, you're just going to stop realizing how much of yourself you're just tucking away just to survive the day. This is that this identity erosion that happens. And it doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly, little by little, until one day you wake up, you're just going to wake up to and realize that you become a shell of the person that you used to be. And like I said, I know this from personal experience. I can speak to it all day long. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. You're trying to be professional, adaptable, the team player, but if being professional starts by meaning I'm going to have to hide down everything about me, my gifts, water down my voice, something that seems off. And look, this isn't about showing up to work and bulldozing everyone around with your personality in any way. It's about protecting the parts of you that make you you. Your natural style, your natural instincts, your values. So you don't disappear in the role that you're playing. So let's bring them back without having to blow anything up. Start by figuring out what are your non-negotiables. These are part of your personality, your values, your work style that if you compromise them too much, you're going to feel off or resentful. Maybe you're someone who, needs creativity even in small doses. Maybe you thrive on the direct communication, or your superpower is noticing when others are struggling and offering support. Maybe your brain works in patterns and you just need time to think things through before jumping in. Whatever it is, name it, write it down, get really clear on it. And then what you want to do is you want to ask yourself, where in my work life am I shrinking and why? Are you biting your tongue in meetings, even though you've got something useful to share? Are you saying yes to the requests that drain you to avoid rocking the boat? Just think of those things. And then what I want you to do is I want you to start small. Pick one place where you can reclaim a little bit of space to be more of yourself. It might be sharing an idea in a team meeting that reflects your actual voice, or approaching a task in a new way that matches the way you work best, or even showing up to a call, or letting your natural tone and humor come through instead of defaulting into this robotic professionalism. Yeah, one more trick, you can do these authenticity anchors, which are the reminders that you can build into your day to keep you grounded, on who you really are. It might be a sticky note that says hey, bring your curiosity, or a quick morning intention hey, today I'm going to speak plainly even if it feels a little risky. Even 2-minute midday resets, asking yourself am I being real right now, or am I performing? And this can be huge, because you're playing a role all day that isn't sustainable. Suppressing your real self at work is really draining, and it is psychologically, physiologically stressful and draining. Your body actually interprets it as a threat. And that low level tension you feel all day, that's your nervous system working overtime because it's stuck in this performance mode instead of being in a natural rhythm. And when you stop performing and just start showing up as you, everything shifts. You actually you access real energy that you've been missing. You stop second guessing yourself. People actually start seeing you and what you bring to the table, not just what you produce, but who you are, and your work gets lighter, more meaningful, more enjoyable. Not because the job changed, but because how you showed up. And then our sixth and final one, there's this daily intention reset, turning the routine into these purposeful practices. So I would say start with intention, not urgency. Don't let your day decide who you're going to be. Most of us start our workday already behind. Before your second sip of coffee, you're checking your emails, you're scanning your calendars, you're putting out fires, and boom, you're in go mode. But here's the problem. When you start your day in reaction mode, the rest of your day tends to follow the same rhythm. You're not leading, you're chasing. And before you know it, the day is over and you're wondering was I even present for any part of this day? So this is about, interrupting that autopilot and choosing how you want to show up before the day starts, before the day starts shaping you. And so it's not about perfect routines like waking up at 5 a.m. or meditations on a mountaintop. It's just about way more accessible and way more powerful approach. All we're doing here is creating a short pause, a 2-minute reset that gives you gets you just back into the driver's seat. So instead of asking what do I have to do today, you start by asking who do I want to be today? And so there's some 2-minute things, like how you can do this, like how you lead into your day. So, here's the practice. Before you open your laptop, before you jump into the to-do list or, anything like that, you give yourself 2 intentional minutes. You sit with your coffee or whatever it is, your protein bar, and you maybe set the red light or in the school drop-off line, whatever. Ask yourself 3 questions. How do I want to approach my work today? How do I want to connect with others today? And how do I want to respond to stress or setbacks that, when they come? Something like, here's an example I wrote out. Like I want to be calm even if the day gets chaotic. I want to actually listen when somebody's talking instead of thinking about my next reply. Or when I feel overwhelmed, I'm gonna take a moment, a beat, instead of like trying to just power through. Like, these aren't pressure statements. They're just reminders to be the version of you that you're working towards becoming, with your values in motion. And then throughout the day, like, you use those intentions as like a quiet compass. When your inbox explodes or someone drops a last minute request, like, come back to the original choice. Like, who did I say I wanted to be today? Not shaming yourself, like, just to redirect it. And at the end of the day, take 30 seconds to check in. Like, okay, well, where did I get closer to showing up how I want to? Where did I lean in? Where did I forget? And that's where the growth lives, and it is when you start noticing it so that you can make intentional choices about it tomorrow. It might seem like a tiny practice, but it's one of the most reliable tools I've ever used, because over time, these moments where you choose who you're being instead of just reacting to what's happening, they stack up. They build like your emotional muscle. They anchor you to your values. They remind you of I don't want to just be surviving my job. I want to use who I'm trying to be day to day and what I'm trying to do. Like, the truth is, you don't need like a total life overhaul to feel aligned. Sometimes you just need these tiny little resets to remind you that you still get to decide how you want to show up even on the hard days. Now, this isn't about, like I said, it's not about a new job. It's about the new way to show up. And so if I want to leave you with anything, it says, like, healing this relationship with the work you have and feeling more fulfilled and aligned as a part of that. Your work doesn't have to start by you quitting your job or landing the dream role or waiting for your boss to finally get it. Like, it just starts with how you show up tomorrow morning, or right now. Like, it starts with how you how honest you're willing to be with what matters the most to you, and what doesn't matter anymore. It starts with just one choice, like to stop abandoning yourself in a place where you spend most of your life. And so if you've been carrying that kind of tired, no nap can fix, that it's with you at all times, if you're wondering whether your gifts or even matter more, or if you feel like your work is something that you just endure rather than something that you contribute with your heart, hear me on this. Those feelings aren't failure. They're feedback. They're feedback to you. That frustration, that disconnection, that invisible weight that you've been dragging through the week, it's your inner compass saying, hey, this isn't you. We need to make some changes, right? So what we covered today, they're not fluffy ideas. They're real tools to help people, parents who are juggling a lot, entrepreneurs who are on the edge of burnout, or employees trying to find meaning in a system that doesn't always reward what they find meaning in. These practices I've used myself, they're ones I've given to clients to help them get unstuck, not by blowing life up, but by bringing their life back into the work they already do. And so start with one principle that hit a nerve with you, whichever it may be, paying attention to what brings you energy, or being brutally honest with your values, maybe starting your day with that more intention, whatever it is. Don't try to fix it all. Don't set yourself up with a list of 27 changes to make. Just pick one and do it like it matters, because it does. And those small shifts, they build confidence. They reconnect you with the parts of yourself that you never should have buried in the first place. And over time, those little shifts start to change everything from how you feel at 9 a.m. to how you feel, with your kids at 6 p.m. Now, if you're ready to dive deeper into these sort of things and these concepts and such, then that's where I'd recommend that you get yourself a copy of the GIVER Method book. Once again, it's on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description where you can go get it. It's full of practical strategies to help you use your gifts with more purpose, to build the relationships that actually matter to you, to create life that feels like it's yours again. And good, if you run a team, the podcast, a platform, a stage, whatever, where this message could serve the people you care about, then head over to thegivermethod.com, book a conversation, use the link in the description to do that. Go find us in all the places. If you have not already, hit subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Leave a comment what stood out to you, because I love to hear that and I love to comment back. Just remember, you don't have to keep dragging yourself through your work week. You don't have to keep pretending that you're okay with just getting by. There's more for you, and it might be a lot closer than you think. So So just be ready and start taking those small actions. Thanks for being here with me today. Like, super excited that you're investing this time in yourself. I will catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.